They wanted wealth, but they never expected this. Welcome to African Stories with Tai. People still argue about Selina and Sammy till today. Some say poverty pushed them too far. Others say greed only waited for an excuse. But one thing everyone agrees on is this. Money came, joy followed, then something arrived. And at the center of it all was the decision they thought would save their future, but instead destroyed their minds. Selina and Sammy lived in Bariga, a noisy but close-knit town where everybody knew everybody's business, even the ones you tried to hide. Their room was small, one window, cracked walls, a leaking roof that dripped water like it enjoyed mocking them. Sammy was a bicycle repairer who repaired more excuses than bicycles. Selina sold roasted corn by the roadside, smiling at customers while hunger pinched her stomach from inside. They were married for 5 years and still counted money before buying sachet water. Neighbors talked. Marriage is sweet when money is around, Mama Ebere would shout from her veranda. Sammy would laugh and reply, money is coming, it just took the wrong road. Everyone laughed, but deep down, nobody believed him. When Selina became pregnant, joy entered their room like fresh air. They danced, they prayed, they told themselves stories. This child would change our story, Selina said, rubbing her belly. Sammy nodded seriously. Children bring favor. When the baby girl arrived, they named her Favor. But favor did not arrive with her. Expenses increased, sleep reduced, poverty remained stubborn. At 6 months, Favor was beautiful, always smiling, unaware of the storm around her. Selina loved her deeply. Sammy carried her proudly. But hunger has a way of changing conversations. One night, rain poured heavily. Water leaked into the room. Selina cried silently while holding Favor. Sammy sat on the floor, head in his hands. We can't continue like this, he said. Selina didn't answer. The baby cried. That cry entered Sammy's head and refused to leave. The next day, Sammy met Baba, a man people whispered about, not openly, never loudly, but everyone knew. You look tired, Baba said calmly. Life is hard, Sammy replied. Baba looked at him long and said words that would change everything. Some doors don't open with hard work.
That night, Sammy told Selina about the meeting. She laughed nervously. Please don't tell me you believe those things. Sammy didn't laugh. Selina, what if this suffering is unnecessary? She stared at him. What are you saying? He lowered his voice. There are ways. Baba asked me to come with you. Selina stood up immediately. No, we will manage. God will help us. But later that night, hunger returned. Bills returned. Shame returned. And the thought returned too. One morning, Mama Ebere passed by. Selina, still roasting corn? This your fire is older than my marriage. Selina forced a laugh. Another neighbor added, at least your baby is fat. Poverty respects children. Everyone laughed. Selina smiled. But that night, she cried. It took 3 weeks of inner battles before Selina agreed to follow Sammy. Not because she believed, but because she was tired. The place was quiet. Too quiet. The man spoke in riddles, rules, conditions, warnings. No details were discussed openly. Only this was clear. Wealth would come, but sacrifice and obedience would be required, and disobedience would be punished. On their way home, Selina said nothing. At night, she stared at Favor sleeping peacefully. Her chest felt tight. Selina spoke first. We can give birth again, she whispered. Sammy swallowed hard. Many children. They repeated it like a prayer, like it would erase guilt. They avoided each other's eyes because some thoughts are too heavy to say aloud. That night, Selina did not sleep. She watched her daughter breathe, and for the first time since childbirth, she asked herself a question that terrified her. What if this is the price of escape? Outside, Bariga slept peacefully, unaware that two desperate parents were standing at the edge of a decision that would haunt them forever. After that visit, life did not improve. In fact, it became worse. The bicycle repair shop collapsed when a truck mistakenly reversed into it. No compensation, no apology. Selina's corn business suffered too. Rain spoiled her goods twice in 1 week. Neighbors noticed. Life is dealing with you people, oh, Mama Ebere said one afternoon, shaking her head. Sammy laughed weakly. Life is just testing us. But at night, when Favor cried from hunger and Selina had nothing left to give, laughter disappeared. Sammy started staying out late. Selina noticed. You go out every evening now, she said one night. Sammy didn't answer immediately. Then he said, I'm thinking. Selina knew what he was thinking about. Neither of them talked openly about that visit again, but the words never left their minds. Wealth comes with rules. No shortcuts. No hesitation. Selina tried to pray the thoughts away. She fasted, she cried, she begged God for another way. But hunger does not wait for answers. One evening, as Selina rocked Favor to sleep, she whispered again, We can give birth again. Her own voice shocked her. She covered her mouth. Sammy looked at her slowly. You said it again, he said quietly. Silence followed. Long, heavy, dangerous. They returned to Baba again. No questions were asked, no explanations were given, only instructions. Difficult ones. Rules they were warned never to break. Selina's hands trembled as she listened. Sammy nodded too much. On the way home, Selina stopped walking suddenly. I don't think I can do this, she said, breathing heavily. Sammy held her shoulders. If we turn back now, we will remain like this forever. She looked at Favor sleeping on her back. Her tears fell silently. That night felt longer than every night before it combined. Selina bathed Favor gently. She dressed her carefully. Sammy watched from the corner, unable to speak. Neighbors heard Selina singing softly, a lullaby she always sang. Mama Ebere even smiled. See how motherhood has changed her, she said to someone. Nobody knew. Selina and Sammy moved quietly to the bush at the back of their house. Selina kissed Favor's forehead and whispered, Forgive me. Sammy turned his face away and began digging. No cries were heard outside. No noise, no drama. Only silence. And when it was over, Selina collapsed on the floor, shaking violently. Sammy held her tightly. We will be rich, he said, more to convince himself than her.
Morning came. The sun rose as usual, but Selina could not stand. Her eyes were swollen. Her voice was gone. A neighbor asked casually, Where is your baby? Selina forced a smile. She is with a relative. The lie tasted bitter. But something else arrived that morning. Money. Unexpected customers. Favors. Opportunities. Sammy repaired bicycles non-stop that day. People paid without complaining. Selina sold out her corn before noon. She stared at the money in disbelief. Within weeks, everything changed. They moved to a big house. They upgraded. They bought things they used to admire from afar. Neighbors whispered, Miracle? Luck? Connection? Mama Ebere visited their new place and laughed loudly. So poverty finally lost you people. Selina laughed too. But at night, she cried quietly. Wealth came with reminders. They remembered the strange instructions, odd restrictions. Never stay out till 8 p.m. Never boast of your wealth. Never laugh too loudly. Never keep a visitor in your house till the next day. Some days, Selina would suddenly feel uneasy and remember a rule she almost forgot. Sammy became careful, too careful. They obeyed at first because fear was stronger than joy. 2 years passed. They were no longer poor. They were rich, very rich, But one evening, Sammy broke a rule. Small, careless, harmless, or so he thought. That night, Selina woke up screaming. And for the first time since wealth entered their lives, fear returned, stronger than hunger ever was.
2 years after poverty released Selina and Sammy, they became people others pointed at. Big house, 2 cars, respect. Sammy no longer repaired bicycles. He now managed businesses. Selina stopped roasting corn. She wore fine clothes and walked with confidence. Neighbors changed. Mama Ebere now greeted them first. My rich people, don't forget also. Selina laughed politely. But money did not bring rest. Sammy broke the rule by accident, or maybe by pride. He stayed out late one night when he wasn't supposed to. Nothing happened immediately. He laughed it off. See, nothing happened, he told Selina. But that night, Selina dreamt of a baby crying from a place she could not reach. She woke up sweating. After that night, small things changed. Money started disappearing. Not stolen, just missing. Food would rot instantly. Doors would slam by themselves. Servants quit in fear, whispering, "The house is cursed." Selina misplaced things daily. Sammy forgot important meetings. Their house felt cold, even in heat. One afternoon, Selina had a baby cry in the bathroom. She rushed in. Nothing. She laughed nervously. Maybe my mind. But the laughter didn't last. At night, she locked every door twice. They stopped going out. They stopped inviting people. Sleep avoided them. They tried to sleep, but no sleep came. Selina began talking to herself. Sammy started drinking heavily. The wealth was still there, but joy was gone. One night, Selina broke down. "We made a mistake," she cried. "This money is not blessing." Sammy shouted back, "Do you want us to be poor again?" Silence followed, then laughter. Not normal laughter, desperate laughter. That same night, Selina ran outside screaming, calling a name nobody had heard in years. Neighbors gathered. Sammy stood frozen, because Selina was calling the name of the child they never spoke about. And once a secret is spoken aloud, it never stays buried again.
Selina's scream pulled people out of their houses. Lights came on. Doors opened. Whispers spread. "She's running again!" someone shouted. Selina stood in the middle of the compound, hair scattered, eyes wild. "Give her back to me!" she cried. "I'll return everything!" People exchanged confused looks. A neighbor rushed forward. "Selina, who should we give back?" Selina froze. Her mouth opened. No sound came out. Sammy arrived, breathless, and grabbed her arm. "She's not well," he said quickly. "Stress." But the neighbors had heard enough to know something was wrong. From that night, the greetings changed. Smiles became forced. Laughter disappeared. People watched Selina closely. "She talks to herself," one woman whispered. "She doesn't sleep," another added. Sammy stopped going out completely. Their big house felt like a cage. Money was still there, but it mocked them. The strange instructions they once obeyed carefully began to collapse around them. Selina forgot dates. Sammy ignored warnings, and each mistake came with a price. Nightmares, sudden sickness, unexplainable fear. Selina refused to enter the bedroom. Sammy refused to stay alone. They stayed the night with the lights on like children afraid of the dark. One afternoon, Mama Ebere came to their house and said jokingly, "Maybe you people offended your money." Nobody laughed. Selina laughed instead, too loudly. Then she started crying. One morning, Selina walked into the street barefoot. People gathered again. She raised her hands and shouted, "We did it because we were tired of suffering." Silence fell. Sammy ran out. "Stop talking," he screamed. But Selina was already gone, mentally. "We told ourselves we would have many more children," she continued, crying. "We didn't know it would follow us." Gasps filled the air. Someone whispered, "Children?" Sammy dropped to his knees. The secret had escaped. From that day, nothing could hold them together. Sammy began talking to walls, arguing with people who were not there. Selina wandered aimlessly, laughing one minute, crying the next. The wealth they once enjoyed became meaningless. People avoided their house. The couple that once escaped poverty had become a warning. One evening, Selina disappeared. Hours later, Sammy was found sitting alone, repeating the same sentence over and over. We thought money would save us, but money never saves guilt. They found Selina at dawn. She was sitting beside the old abandoned borehole at the edge of the street. Silent, still. Her eyes were open, but she wasn't seeing anyone. When Mama Ibere touched her shoulder, Selina whispered softly, "They came for the rest." Nobody understood, but everyone felt fear. When Sammy heard Selina had been found, he rushed there barefoot. The moment he saw her, something inside him snapped. He laughed, then cried, then laughed again. "They said it was small," he kept repeating. "They said it was small." People backed away. That same evening, Selina and Sammy wandered the streets for weeks, half-dressed, shouting confessions. "We buried our child for money. We disobeyed instructions. We are cursed." People avoided them. Some threw food scraps at them. Some laughed until tears ran down their cheeks. "Ha ha ha, see madness way money give them." Within weeks, the big house was locked. Selina and Sammy was taken to Yaba Left Psychiatric Hospital, but no cure. The estate returned to normal, but nobody forgot. Children were warned, "Don't envy what you don't understand." Adults whispered, "Not every blessing is from God." The money didn't vanish. It sat useless in accounts nobody could access. Cars rusted. The house slowly faded, but this story lived on. People stopped rushing shortcuts. Some returned to prayer. Others became patient because they had seen it. Final word. Wealth can change your life, but the wrong wealth can destroy your soul. They wanted comfort. They got consequences. And the price? It never ended.